So, I was just talking to my friend Bryn in the lobby, and we were talking about Thanksgiving, how that went, and got to talking about respite care and IHSS and all those support services that thankfully she's gotten going, but I'm still in progress. And the respite care situation, we're on a waiting list. We've been on a waiting list since May. Once we get that going, I think we can really get Medi-Cal going, hopefully IHSS, and who knows what else. But if we can just get these things going, and I, she was helpful and had some ideas for me about how to find a respite care company with workers, and because that's what's going on right now is a respite care worker shortage. Um, but anyhow, yeah, she was telling me how respite care has been such a big blessing, how it's really been helpful for her and her wife, and it used to be helpful for JR and I as well. But it got me to thinking just about how weird it can feel to be apart from the kids, and I wonder if other parents feel this way. And I'll start by saying I do think other parents feel this way. Parents of typical kids, I think, feel this way, but I also wonder what this is like for special needs parents in particular, because today the kids were in school, and I've been tired because Aaliyah's been up really late at night, and she either has some kind of panic attack, which can be really rough, but it's been more manageable than it's been in the past, but it can be really rough, or she has a seizure. So I haven't been going to bed till maybe 2:30. No, more like 2:30 or 3 or 3:30. Sometimes I have a hard time going to sleep after she goes to sleep. And I've been trying to take a nap during the day when they're in school, because they just went back to school. They were home for 2 weeks because of sickness and then the holiday. And then they were home, or then they're back to school. So I tried to take a nap today, and I found myself just not being able to relax and wishing that Aaliyah was laying in the bed next to me fast asleep, because then I could feel like, okay, everything's okay. I can go to bed. I can rest and relax and be at peace. But knowing they're at school, and especially Aaliyah, knowing they're at school, I just have a hard time. I have a hard time not worrying about them. And I think parents just worry about their kids, but I worry about whether people are treating her well, especially Aaliyah, but Adriana too. And I worry about whether there'll be medical emergencies. So yeah, and at the beginning of the year, the school was calling quite frequently to let me know, we can't handle this, get over here, or like a medical emergency. So there are reasons that I feel this way, but I also feel nervous about the idea of respite care, and then you don't really know that person that well, and or people, because we're going to get 2 workers, which is amazing, so that's helpful. But there is just a feeling of vulnerability being away from the kids, and feeling like it's scary enough being there when things go south and when things don't go well. It's scary enough when I'm there, but it's scarier still thinking that I won't be there. And that's, I don't know. There's something scarier about not being there and either not knowing or getting a phone call. And I struggle with that. And I think it would take me a little bit of time to get used to being away. I would look forward to it. I'd be excited to get out and have respite care again, And it's nice the kids being in school, but there's an adjustment period of figuring out, how do I manage the feeling of I'm supposed to be there because, for one thing, I guess, like, I'm always there. So it just feels like I'm supposed to be there because I'm always there, and because what if bad things happen? And it brought me back to a memory back in Chicago. I was thinking around 2016, and JR was out of town because he went out of town a lot back then with work. And I remember I was home all week with the kids, just me. And at the time, that was a little more doable. The kids were smaller, but it was still really hard. And I'd be up half the night with the kids, them just screaming and having really bad meltdowns. And I think partially upset that things were different and JR was gone, but also, I mean, it was just generally difficult. Things were just generally tough. And by the end of that week, I was burnt. I was burnt toast. And, you know, when we lived in Chicago, I struggled a lot with tension and with anxiety and depression. And it was so heavy that my whole body hurt, like, terribly. My whole body just, you know, my spine felt like it was a steel rod. I used to tell JR that. And I'm thankful I'm starting to get that healed with the chiropractor. But it always felt just like unmovable, and everything felt stiff. And then I always had this neck pain, just full of knots, shoulder pain, headache, and I would feel lightheaded when I stood up. I felt super weak. My stomach, now I believe, from what I can understand, that it's leaky gut, but no doctor's really looking into that, to be perfectly honest. And I didn't know what was going on, and so my stomach was always just tightening and just in discomfort and causing problems for me. So there was always that, and I felt awful. I used to tell myself, this is what I imagined it would feel like to be in my 70s or 80s, not my 30s, not my early 30s. This is not what I imagined it would be like to be in my 30s. I feel like an elderly person, and I don't even want to stand up. You know, it's relief to lie down. I don't want to stand up. Just like the weight of the world would feel like it would just drop on me. But anyways, so being left with the kids by myself for a week was tough. And I remember, and lonely. That's very lonely. Just to have someone else to talk to makes a world of difference. So at the end of the week, JR's mom and Curtis came out, and they wanted us to stay in a hotel with them while they were out. They were staying in a hotel right near the airport, I believe it was, and invited us to come over and stay. And I did not think it was a good idea, but I think I just, wanted to. She seemed excited, and I wanted to make it like as normal. I wanted it to feel like a normal, I wanted to be able to be a person who could do that and it not be a big deal. And, but anyways, it was a big deal. And I don't think we were super disruptive. We stayed in the same suite. So, I mean, if the kids had been really loud, it probably would have kept them up, but I don't think it was that way. But the kids went to sleep pretty quickly, but they were up by like 3 a.m. And then the rest of the night, I was trying to get them to go back to sleep. And I'm like, at this point, my body's just like stiff as a board, you know? It's like, I hardly even have any mobility left. I'm pretty much, a stick fit, some kind of wax figure. It's just like complete tension, just a body of tension. And I still remember just feeling like, I had not one drop of energy left to give, but you keep going. But I definitely felt like I don't think I could be more burned out. I don't think I could feel worse physically, and I don't think I could want to evaporate into nothing more. I just want to be done. Like, I don't know how to be anymore. And I remember JR, saying, okay, well, I'll drive, the kids back to the apartment. And then, because he arrived at the hotel the next day. We had breakfast together. And then he drove the kids, and then I drove separately in the other car back to our apartment. And I remember feeling super uncomfortable being by myself. I mean, there's nothing more I wanted in the world than to just, have a night to myself or a week to myself and just stare at a TV or honestly, what I needed was a great deal of help with my anxiety and my health issues that were stemming from it. But I didn't know that. I just knew, like, well, no, I probably did, but I just didn't know that there was help out there for it, because doctors didn't seem to know what to say or have any advice for it. But anyways, I was just done, but at the same time I felt like I can't be apart from these two. So it's such a strange mixture of feelings when you feel like I cannot take another step, but at the same time I feel vulnerable, and it just feels so I don't feel right them not being with me. It makes no sense. But I think it's just when you're with people that much and it's your job to make sure they're okay, I think there was just a feeling of, I don't know how to feel without them. They're like supposed to be with me. It just didn't feel right. It just felt crazy being alone. It felt, like I said, it felt vulnerable, and I don't know. It's hard to understand, and it's hard to describe. But yeah, suddenly you're just left with all these feelings of, are you doing this for them, or what? What's going to happen with this? How are you going to handle that? What are you going to be doing to manage them? And I'm the only one who knows what's been going on here, and I know I'm falling apart, but I'm still worried about them. And it almost felt like some sort of addiction, where it just felt like I don't know how to not be just devoting every ounce of my energy and every ounce of my being to keeping them afloat, even though I'm treading water and I'm going under. There's not much of me left. I feel like I'm dying. It sounds dramatic, and it is. But that's how it felt a lot of times during those years. And not to say I never had any fun or that things weren't ever joyful and sweet, but I carried so much of the burden of anxiety and the burden of fear that I'm not going to be able to manage this. I'm not going to be able to. It's too much for me. This is too much. And I wasn't getting treatment things were just spiraling out of control in my body and in my mind. And it was very lonely. It was very, very lonely. And I even had a friend invite me to do a Bible study with her. And I remember at that, what's sad is I felt so overwhelmed. It was going to be in downtown Chicago, and I'm thinking I'm either going to drive or take public transit while the kids are in school. So that's kind of my time just to be. But I remember feeling so overwhelmed by the thought of doing all of that, because I had never navigated it all by myself or driven around downtown by myself. But, you know, in hindsight, I wish I'd done it, but I was exhausted. So I was very lonely, but I also felt too exhausted to really pursue getting to know people or reaching out. Yeah, it was a weird combination. But I still think I'll feel some of that. You know, I felt some of that today when Aaliyah was in school, and Adriana too, but Aaliyah, it's just been so up and down. And there's just that feeling of I should be there because things could go south, and I don't want to get a call. I'd rather be there. I'd rather experience it myself than get a call, or for things to go bad and I don't know about it, or so I know I'll experience that again if there's, you know, respite care. And Cortica's a place where it feels really safe because it's such a professional and controlled environment. The kids have one-on-one worker, and they're very professionally trained, and it's I'm sitting right here, and I just know that this is a place that has a lot of checks and balances, and they, you know, ABA therapists and therapists in general have always meant the world to us. Now, it doesn't always go well. You know, we've had bad experiences, but ABA therapists have been my best friends, you know, and not literally, because you know, there's obviously those boundaries, but they're the people I talk to during the day throughout these past years, and they're the people who love the kids and the people the kids love. So they're the kids' friends, and they've meant a lot. So when it's professionally done, it's a wonderful thing. So I'm really grateful for this, and I need to work on the difficulty I have. You know, I don't, for instance, like I have a gym membership. I got this this past summer, and I know I could go while the kids are in school. Now, granted, the kids are in school a week, then they're off school a week because they're sick, and then they're back in school a week, and then, you know, so on and so forth. But I just don't feel like I can let down my hair enough to go to the gym. Yeah, I can sit in the house. I can turn on the TV. But you can jump up and go somewhere at a moment's notice, and you still feel kind of like you're on call. And there's something about the gym that feels like I could be caught unprepared. I could be caught, yeah. Too settled, too preoccupied with something else. I'm just, like, you can never let your guard down and never just really do something that really gets me out of my head. So anyhow, that's what I've been thinking about. And with Thanksgiving, it did go well. It was a really special week. It was still hard. Aaliyah started having seizures. My brother's calling me. But I think we figured out, I think we have an idea of why this is happening, and we can work our way through it. So, but anyways, that's all for now.